everybody. Okay. I am going to go ahead and share this on my page. Can't do it that way. Okay, there it is. Share. All right, I have posted it. Okay. Oh, dang it. Cool. Alrighty, well, it is 6:16, and I am just going to go ahead and get started. So, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Dr. Sarah Ponica, and I work here at Get Well Family Chiropractic in Florissant, Missouri. I work with Dr. Robin Lawrence. She was unable to make it tonight, but I am going to give you the best Facebook Live class that I can, all about food allergies. So thank you so much for joining me tonight for this week's Facebook Live class. Today, like I just said, we're going to be talking about food allergies, and this is a major topic for so many people. So if you know anybody who might benefit from participating in our class tonight, share this video with them now. You can share our video to your timeline or maybe a group that you're in, or you can even start a watch party. So if you have any questions or comments at all during the class or right now, please go ahead and share those in the comment section. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Ooh, I'm gonna have to be moving myself all around on this class, and that'll be good. Okay. So, an allergic reaction to food is an immune system response that begins with the production of an antibody. The antibody then attaches to the antigen, or in this case, that allergen that has entered into the body, and signals the immune system to begin an attack. For our bodies to be able to do this is an incredible tool when we're dealing with those harmful microbes. But with an immune response dysfunction, much like a food allergy, this internal alarm goes off for something that is otherwise innocent, such as a food molecule. The antibody present in most allergic reactions is immunoglobulin E, or they call it IgE. When the IgE antibodies are produced, they signal the mast cells, which are found in the lining of our skin, our nose, intestines, and bronchial tubes, to release chemical messengers called histamine, which I'm sure you've heard of that. Then many physiological changes occur, like dilation of our blood cells, a decrease in blood pressure, skin reactions, and the swelling of our mouth and throat. If the allergy is severe, these symptoms together can progress to anaphylactic shock, which is a life-threatening reaction. Researchers have estimated that approximately 15 million Americans suffer from at least one food allergy. And out of that figure, 5.9 million are children under the age of 18. And unfortunately, these numbers are only going up. Allergies, sensitivities, and tolerances, oh my. So intolerances and sensitivities to food are very different than allergies, actually, but that doesn't mean that they don't negatively affect your quality of life as well. So in fact, some mild food allergies cause less distress than severe food intolerance. Food intolerances generally occur in response to poor digestion of a specific food, whether it be from the intestinal dysfunction or lack of essential enzymes. And food intolerances are highly unique issues since they can manifest very different between different individuals. Common symptoms that we might see of food intolerances can range from digestive distress like gas, bloating, abdominal cramping, diarrhea, nausea, and vomiting, to seemingly unrelated issues like headaches, mucus production, and brain fog. While these problems are often not regarded as very severe, they can advance to more severe problems, more serious problems, if they're left unattended. And it's estimated that 3 in every 4 people suffer from some form of a food intolerance, varying in severity. Everything from entire food groups to specific chemicals found in foods can lead to the symptoms listed above and indeed can be an intolerance. Sorry. Okay. What's up with gut health? So leaky gut syndrome, or LGS, is often linked to food intolerances. And this occurs when the intestinal lining becomes so permeable that it begins to allow large molecules like undigested food particles and toxins into the bloodstream. This is due to the cells of the intestinal lining becoming inflamed and damaged. And in response, the immune system retaliates by attacking these invaders, much as we see in food allergies. When LGS is left untreated, a continual cycle of damage occurs. And this translates to further digestive distress, nutrient deficiencies, and more immune reactions. The symptoms are very similar to food intolerances and are treated by thorough nutritional therapy and repair of the GI system. Inflammation 101. I feel like we talk about inflammation in almost all of our classes. It's so important, and we even have a class back in April, I think, that is all about inflammation. So inflammation is a much needed process within the body. It is our body's natural response to any form of damage or foreign invader, and it's responsible for facilitating the healing process. But chronic inflammation is very dangerous. Research suggests that chronic inflammation can be found at the root of almost every chronic disease. It can be caused and sustained by unresolved infections, persistent stress, or, you guessed it, regular exposure to foods that you are allergic, intolerant, or sensitive to. Allergy symptoms are usually easy to diagnose and avoid when they're recognized, and if one chooses to ignore these warning signs, they are setting up an attractive environment for inflammation to thrive. But intolerance, on the other hand, is often harder to identify. Although there is no true immune response with these food sensitivities, it still does initiate our innate immunity or the non-specific defense mechanisms within our immune systems. And this is our first level of immunity at the beginning of the inflammatory response. So again, if left unresolved, this inflammation becomes chronic and can breed a host of other health issues. Hi, Jim. Thanks for joining. Hi, Thomas. So we mentioned some of the common symptoms of food allergies and intolerances, but that short list did not encompass nearly the magnitude of side effects that can come from these underlying digestive issues. And signs that you might be suffering from a food allergy or intolerance include various digestive distresses, respiratory issues, water retention, unexplained weight gain, thyroid dysfunction, increased seasonal allergies, postnasal drip, migraines, joint pain, fatigue, acne, rashes, puffy eyes, irritability, depression, anxiety, insomnia, food cravings, and unfortunately, many more. So, do any of you find yourselves suffering from any of these on a regular basis? Weight gain can be a result of unresolved food allergies for a few different reasons here. So many of the common allergens, including wheat and corn, are found in the foods that are also very rich in sugar. And these foods encourage the happy neurotransmitters in the brain called serotonin. Unfortunately, this feel-good response is very short-term, and it begins the cycle of people craving more. This can escalate pretty quickly by increasing the frequency and amount of that the allergy enters the body. But sometimes the allergens are not always locked in on the sugar anti-nutrient, but it's important to note that if one does not know, that they are experiencing a true intolerance. Sorry, that wasn't worded the best. So the body's natural response to inflammation is the release of cortisol, and that's our main stress hormone. And as we discussed earlier, inflammation is a huge part of food allergies, intolerances, and sensitivities. Persistent allergen exposure stimulates ongoing cortisol production and in turn a sustained increase in that blood sugar. And the body adapts to this cortisol influx and blood sugar excess by producing more insulin. And this can lead to fat accumulation in the body, in our abdomen, and worse, insulin resistance, which is diabetes. Weight gain from food allergies can also be a consequence of insufficient digestive function. The inflammation of the GI tract, nutritional deficiencies, and metabolic dysfunction are all related to food allergy complications and can lead to sufficient weight gain and further health complications. Other ways that food intolerances are connected to weight gain are slowing of the metabolism, increased storage of calories, water retention, harmful bacterial growth in the gut, and a decrease in just overall energy for physical activity. Food allergies and intolerances are different for everybody, but here are a few of the most common food aggravators. Gluten, dairy, eggs, corn, soy, peanuts, tree nuts, sesame, fish, shellfish, histamines, nitrates, yeast, FODMAP foods, which I'll explain a little bit later, and many food additives. So really the first line of defense against adverse food reactions is prevention. And this means being aware of what is in the food that you eat, learning to read labels adequately, and being a more conscious consumer overall. Fortunately, it is legally required to state what ingredients are in packaged foods. The most common allergens can be found in a bolded list below the main ingredient list for easier finding. However, for the less common allergies, this is not something to always rely on. It's best to do your research and begin feeling comfortable reading labels to ensure that you are limiting your exposure to the danger that these foods might pose to you. Let's talk about gluten. So gluten is increasingly becoming a larger issue in today's society. There are over 1.5 million people who are suffering because of gluten in one form or another, whether it be from sensitivities, intolerances, and even celiac disease. With gluten-free becoming almost a buzzword in our day-to-day life, it can be hard to navigate gluten's place in our food system. To break it down, there is celiac disease, where the body attacks the small intestine when it's exposed to gluten, whereas non-celiac gluten intolerance is where the immune system attacks the gluten. not the small intestine. But what is gluten anyways? So gluten is a general term for a mix of proteins in many grains such as wheat, barley, and rye. Gluten is found in many baked goods, processed foods, and even sauces. Like I have friends who are gluten intolerant, and when we go to, say, like a Chinese restaurant or things like that, we always have to ask if there's gluten in their sauces, because it's a thickener. So while medical diagnostic testing is available to those with celiac test, gluten sensitivity is a bit harder to diagnose. And later in this class, we will provide some ways to identify potential problems and finally experience some relief from the many complications that gluten consumption can cause. Oh, now we're off to dairy. So there is also a clear difference here between lactose intolerance, milk sensitivity, and a true milk allergy, but they can all be very easily confused. Lactose intolerance occurs when someone lacks the enzyme lactase, which is needed to digest the sugar in milk, and that sugar in milk is called lactose. The undigested lactose is then directed through the digestive system and eventually left to just ferment in the intestines. And this leads to a lot of GI discomfort like gas, stomach cramps, bloating, and diarrhea. A milk allergy is a true food allergy, causing an immune-driven allergic reaction to a protein found in milk, such as whey or casein. And it's also possible to develop a sensitivity to these proteins that acts very similarly to an allergy. And in both situations here, there is an excessive inflammatory response, which usually relates to increased mucus production, asthma, acne, and digestive issues. This is an incredibly important and common issue. In fact, 3 in 4 of all people are unknowingly intolerant to dairy-containing foods. What is a FODMAP? So we're coming back to that word that I brought up a few slides ago here. So FODMAP, or FODMAP, is an acronym created and defined by researchers at Australia's Monash University. And it is used to characterize certain carbohydrates by fermentables, oligosaccharides, which includes fructans and galactans, disaccharides, which includes lactose, monosaccharides, which includes fructose, and polyols, which are the sugar alcohols. So these FODMAP sugars are found in fructans, like I just mentioned, which are those gluten grains, galactans, which are in legumes. Lactose is found in those dairy products. Fructose is most fruits. Certain vegetables and added sugars all have fructose. And then those sugar alcohols include xylitol, sorbitol, maltitol, and mannitol. FODMAPs have been found to be poorly absorbed in the small intestines and are often fermented in the gut and negatively impact the intestinal microbial balance. If you think that you might be experiencing issues with high FODMAP foods, we will go ahead and post a link with some resources that can help you out with that. Okay. I'm going to share that link that I just mentioned really quick. Does anybody have any questions or any comments so far? If you do, go ahead and just post those in the comments. Come on. Copy. All right. So, histamine intolerance. And this would have been a great slide. I wish Dr. Robin was here because we are a little suspicious that she might be going through some signs of histamine intolerance. So as I go through this slide, I might kind of mention some things that have been going on with her. So histamines are neurotransmitters produced in response to any allergic reaction. They serve as an alarm to warn the immune system and an instant inflammatory action to prep the body to heal. Overall, they're an important mechanism for the body to recover from adverse reactions. But those who suffer from a histamine intolerance will experience a buildup of histamines due to their body being unable to fully break it down. And this can be dangerous as histamines travel through the whole body. Common symptoms of a histamine intolerance include hypertension, irregular sleep patterns, frequent headaches, tissue swelling, dizziness, anxiety, unstable body temperature, nausea, flushing, nasal congestion, abnormal menstrual cycle, hives, and fatigue. And just reading through that list of symptoms, I can think of a lot of things that poor Dr. Robin has been going through recently. But luckily, less than 1% of the population suffer from this intolerance, but it is valuable to note because histamines are found in a very wide variety of the foods that we eat. And if other dietary measures have not helped you in the past, we recommend looking into your histamine consumption. And Dr. Robin, too, recently has been looking into a low histamine diet, and she's going to start trying that out and see if it helps her. So, what can we do when it comes to helping with these food allergies, food intolerances? As functional medicine practitioners, which chiropractors fall into that category, we abide by the following principles. Each patient is an individual with varying needs based on their genetics, environment, and unique health history. Health is identified as a dynamic balance of physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being, rather than just the absence of disease. There's a complex mix of interactions between nutrition, physical activity, organ integrity, and stress management. Comprehensive laboratory testing and diagnostic measures are needed to ensure efficient and optimal care. Prevention and treatment of complex chronic conditions needs specialized care. So we use a variety of diagnostic tools to decipher your body's imbalances, nutritional needs, and the most effective treatment method for you. And these tools include personal and family medical history, urine, saliva, blood, and stool analysis, nutrient and stress profiles, genetic testing, allergy testing, hormone testing, mind-body elements, and many more. Losing my voice. So, testing here. There are many different tests that are available to decode food allergies, such as skin or scratch tests, various blood tests, such as the IgG panel, as well as bacterial breath tests. Now, there is a test that we are starting to introduce into the office that we're pretty excited about, and I'm just going to explain a little bit about that to you. So the MRT panel, or this mediator release test, is the food sensitivity test that we use here, and it is a blood test that analyzes your individual responses to 170 different foods and chemicals. So what happens is that we send your blood sample to Oxford Labs, who then use a machine to expose your blood cells to each freeze-dried food or chemical antigen. And this is the most accurate test with a sensitivity of 94.5 and a specificity of 91.7. and the most comprehensive test that is available for determining food sensitivities, and it's already helped thousands of people identify their triggers and put an end to their suffering. So once you have the MRT panel done, you're given a really specific diet. So it's called the LEAP, Elimination Diet, Lifestyle Eating and Performance Diet. And it limits the patient to no more than 20 to 25 different foods that have been identified as minimal release triggers of mediators in a lab setting. And this helps to produce a patient-specific anti-inflammatory diet designed to lower inflammation and, by doing so, reduce or eliminate your symptoms. So basically, what I learned from just doing a little bit of reading about the test and everything and about the diet is once you get your test back, you get a special card that tells you which foods you should completely avoid, which ones you can have some of but not a lot, and then which ones are okay. And those are all listed on your individualized card. The red foods are the foods that are not recommended for you due to the response during the test, which I think is super cool. So yeah, so just moving along from that a little bit, we recommend trying a comprehensive elimination diet, which can be the sleep diet, but even if you don't get the MRT test, you can still do an elimination diet on your own. And what this does is remove and analyze your body's reaction to certain foods. And sometimes we do want that further testing, which we do recommend with the MRT. But this diet strategy is a really good tool to begin the process of discovering your best health. Here's a little bit more about elimination diets. So an elimination diet is done by eliminating potential problem foods for a minimum of 3 weeks or until you begin feeling symptom-free. They are then reintroduced into your diet one by one with a close eye on how each one makes you feel. If they begin to bother you again, though, they are taken out again to provide a clean slate for the following food group. So we recognize that an elimination diet is a bit of a process, but your body is better than any looking at your body is better than any diagnostic test at indicating how you feel when you eat these foods. So, the following foods are recommended to be removed from your diet during the elimination phase: dairy, gluten, soy, corn, eggs, refined sugar, peanuts, red meat, alcohol, caffeine, hydrogenated oils, packaged or processed foods, and any other food that you believe might be the source of your discomfort, something that you have noticed that you feel bad after eating, which could be maybe one of those FODMAP or histamine containing foods. If you're unable to eliminate all of these foods at once, it's possible to do this diet in a staggered manner. So for example, you could choose to remove a few at a time, but this process takes much longer, and it's easy to confuse, what foods are making you feel badly if your trigger food has yet to be eliminated. Seeing the list of what foods to eliminate can be a bit intimidating at first, but don't worry, there are plenty of foods that are elimination diet friendly. Unless you have an individual concern or reason to avoid any of these foods, the following are encouraged to be a part of your diet during the elimination phase. So you can have gluten-free grains. That includes rice, quinoa, amaranth, tapioca, buckwheat, and teff. Dairy substitutes like almond milk, coconut milk, hemp milk, and rice milk. Fresh vegetables, except corn, no corn. Whole fruits, make sure they're fresh, frozen, or water packed. Lean and clean animal proteins, so wild game, lamb, organic chicken, and fresh fish, beans and most legumes, except soybeans and peanuts, high quality oils like coconut, avocado, and cold pressed olive oil, herbal teas, sweetener alternatives in moderation, so that could be honey, blackstrap molasses, and brown rice syrup. And then, of course, you can have plenty of spices to keep things flavorful. Food journaling is an incredible tool for tracking your food-related symptoms during an elimination diet. And this goes for any step of your healing journey, but especially through that elimination diet. So for example, say that you are at the end of your 3 weeks and you're feeling great, and as you begin to introduce gluten back into your diet, you begin to suffer increased gas, headaches, and trouble focusing. If this continues for 2 days, note it in your food journal, take it back out of your diet, wait until the symptoms subside, and continue including different foods back into your diet. Say the next food that you reintroduce is soy. 2 days go by and you are still feeling great. Note that in the journal and continue the process. So that way you'll be able to go back and measure your reactions to certain foods and investigate what is bothering you. Also, we as functional medicine doctors love to see the data so that we can help you navigate through these changes easily as well. So are you still wondering, well, what the heck can I eat then in these diets? So we're going to share right here in the comments some delicious recipes that are elimination diet friendly. I'll just read through what the recipes are. I'm obviously not going to go through and tell you all of the ingredients and all that. So what we're going to post are quinoa berry banana bake, spaghetti squash hash browns, garlic mushroom quinoa, Italian roasted vegetables, chicken avocado lettuce wraps, guacamole turkey burgers, and banana cookies. And note that some of these may require substitutions depending on your specific elimination needs. So I'll share that real quick after I finish the class. All right, are you ready to feel your best? So I've just shared a lot of information with you, and it might be a little bit overwhelming, and that is okay. Allergies, intolerances, and sensitivities can really impact your quality of life, but it is important to know that it doesn't have to be a struggle forever. Changing your eating habits and taking control of your health requires a lot of effort, but it is really, really rewarding. All right, so that is all that I have for you guys this evening. If you are interested in the resources that were used to put this class together tonight, just go ahead and post that in the comments, let us know, and I will send those your way. And thank you so much for taking the time to experience this class this evening. I know that you have other things that you could have been doing, so I'm glad that you took the time to join me just to learn a little bit more about food allergies. So if you have any other questions or any comments, please just go ahead and post those in the comments, and I will be sure to help you out. Alrighty. And if you are interested in taking a more holistic approach to your health or going through that mediator release test that I talked about, give us a call at Get Well Family Chiropractic and we can get you scheduled for an appointment. This is the last week of our food drive, and we have a really good deal going on with the food drive. If you bring in 10 non-perishable food items, you get a new patient appointment, new patient exam, a report of findings, and your first adjustment, all for $25. So give us a call. And be sure to join us next Tuesday, November 17th at 6:15 p.m. for our next Facebook Live class, Intro to Reiki. So we'll be teaching you all about Reiki, which is an energy technique, and we'll be talking about other energy work techniques as well. And I know a lot of people don't really know a lot about this topic, so this is going to be a class that you will not want to miss. So head over to Facebook, the Facebook event for that class now, and click interested or going if you think you might want to check that out. And we hope to see you there. Everybody have an amazing week, and I will see you next week.